say amen for the praise team?
Amen. Amen.
For those of you who don't know me, I'll simply say that I'm a sinner saved by grace.
Amen.
Amen. I was lost, but now I'm found. I was blind, but praise God, now I can see. I just want to, if you don't mind, there's a dear friend of mine, and any second he could go home and be with the Lord. Been fighting cancer now for about a year and a half. But I can't believe the soldier that he is. And he literally said, Lord, just take me. I can't wait to get home with you. How many of you know that while we're here, we got to let the Lord use us? Amen. Amen. Because this life goes by like that. Aren't you glad this is not it? Aren't you glad about that? We have hope. Hallelujah. Well, I don't know about you, but I have hope. I am so blessed that Jesus kept knocking at the door. For a long time, I didn't want to listen. I didn't want to hear. But thank God I had a praying mom. How many had praying mothers for you? How many are here tonight because mom prayed for you or somebody prayed for you? We sing a song at Shiloh, somebody prayed for me, had me on their mind, and took the time to pray for me. So I just want to be humble before you. I am nobody special. I really honestly hate titles because I'm just Michael Morton, covered with the blood of Jesus. I've been transformed by the renewing of my mind. I'm no different than anybody else. But I can tell you this much, my name is written down in the Lamb's Book of Life. Is your name in the Lamb's Book of Life tonight? And we see people just walking up and down the boardwalk, and I pray one day that they will get to know the Savior. Because he could come back any second, amen. I have some good news tonight. And I want you to know that I do not just sit up here and try to make everybody feel good. I'm not one of them guys. I want to tell you what God said. Because one day I'm going to stand before him and give an account. And I'd rather have your faces long and stand before him and tell me, well done, good and faithful servant. But the bottom line is tonight, God has just pressed upon me this theme, and don't get nervous, I do my job and I sit down, amen. But he gave me this theme, I have not forgotten you. And I'm being quiet just for a second, because I want those words to settle down. And most of us here, we know Jesus. But some of us, there have been moments in our life where we've wondered if God has forgotten us. And he had me come by here tonight to tell you that one area, that one time in your life where maybe there was affliction, the one mistake and you haven't gotten over it, the person who left you out of nowhere, the sickness that I have been enduring. God wants me to tell you, you thought he forgot you, but he has not forgotten. And these words, I think every one of us have said to ourselves at one point in time, Lord, why haven't you answered me? Do I have a witness where sometimes God just didn't answer? Huh? It seems like, Lord, where are you? I need you right now. How many of us have been in those moments where we needed him right then and there? He didn't answer. God wanted me to tell you tonight that he has not forgotten you. Hallelujah. And then there are some of us tonight, we've gotten to the point in our walk where we don't question God anymore. It took a while. But I'm blessed to tell you right now, I don't question God. I just simply say, not my will, but thy will be done. See, because he has been that good to me. And there are phases to our walk. How many remember the first time you went through a trial? And then out of nowhere, everything, all the pieces to the puzzle came together. And you realize, wow, I understand now why he had me go through that. All of us have been through trials. And then you have the storm. And storms can come out of nowhere. But storms are there to test your foundation, your roots. And I thank God for the storms in my life, because the storms now, they come out of nowhere. But God, he taught me how to rely on him. How many of you remember the times when you barely held on? Thought you were going to lose your mind. Didn't know how you were going to make it through that time. But how many know our God is a keeper? He will keep you. Hallelujah. He has kept me many times in my life, and I give him praise and I give him glory. When we talk about trials, we talk about storms. And then after a while, he'll allow you to feel what is called the thorn in your side. How many of you know Paul asked about that thorn? And he asked God to take it 3 times. And what did God say? My grace is sufficient for you. And there have been times when I had a thorn in my side and God would not remove that thing. And he said, Mike, I need you to trust me through this process. I need to buffet you. I need you to stay humble, because I want to use you. And if I'm going to move through you, you're going to have to be a prepared vessel. And maybe you have something in your side right now, an area where God just hasn't moved it. Trust him, because he has not forgotten you. And then when we get past the thorn, then we have to learn to appreciate and understand his sovereignty. We serve a sovereign God. He does what he wants, how he wants, when he wants. And you must get to the place where you do not question him. Hallelujah. There's a scripture I want to read to you that says it all. Isaiah 54:7. It says, for a mere moment I have forsaken you, but with great mercies I will gather you. And the word forsaken there now really speaks to those of us who feel like God has forgotten us. Look what this word means. It means to leave behind. How many felt that? There have been times when you felt like God left you behind. To refuse. I'm crying out, God, I need you, God. Lord, heal. God, save. God, move. And then he just refuses. And then there's this word permit. He permits. There have been things in our lives that God has allowed to happen. And some of you are still questioning, I wonder why that had to happen. But see, I love the latter part of that. He said, but with great mercies will I gather thee. And see, if you know anything about my life, there was a time when, yes, I felt like God had forsaken me, but I'm so blessed today because he has gathered me. There was a time I didn't know Jesus Christ. And there's been times in my life where I felt like, Lord, where are you? But he has been so good to me over the years, I'm more focused on the fact that he gathered me. Hallelujah. And I got a testimony just to tie it all together here. At the age of 13, grew up and went to Manasquan High. But I was a pretty good athlete at the time. Our Pop Warner program, our midget team was one of the best in the shore. And I thought that I would have a promising career in high school. And out of nowhere, I was diagnosed. I thought I had sickle cell anemia. And I can remember that I lost quite a bit of weight, and it took me out of sports for about a year or so. And eventually it was determined that I was just a carrier, praise God, and I thank the Lord every day. How many of you know, if you look back over those times when God was there for you, because how many of you know he's been there for you? And every time the devil slips something in your ear, God has forgotten you, you go back and review what he has done for you. And I can remember just sitting home young and waiting for the results. And when I found out that I was just a carrier, I was so blessed by it. But at the same time, I never returned to sports. Hallelujah. And after I graduated from high school, I started just enjoying my fleshly desires. and I partied, and I did my thing, and I thank God, as I told you before, I had a praying mother, and God gathered me. And He pulled me from the pit, cleaned me up, and began to invest in my life. Hallelujah. And out of nowhere, God gave me a son. And I'll never forget, we were at a family function, and they had these little games that were playing. And, you know, my family were all about sports and everything. And my cousin, I'll never forget, he came over to me and he said, "Mike, your son won. But not only did he win, you have a real athlete there. Your son was impressive." Make a long story short, God gave me a son who broke multiple records at Manasquan High School. God gave me a son that was one of the best football players in the state of New Jersey. God said, "Mike, you thought back then that I wasn't there." And some of you in here, you feel like He wasn't there back then, but He was there then, and He's here now, and He has not forgotten you. Hallelujah. Hallelujah. We are saying, you can't make me doubt Him. I know too much about Him. He's a good God. Hallelujah. Here I am today. And all I can do is just say thank Him. I don't question Him. But for those of you who don't question Him, those of you who can say, "Not my will, but Thy will be done," He wants you to know that He's going to give you those things that you forgot about. Not only is He going to bless those of you who has thought He has forgotten your needs and all that you've gone through, but He's going to bless those who've been diligent to give Him the praise no matter what. My sister and I lost our father. Our father went in for a simple operation to have his bladder removed. And out of nowhere, he was just delusional and out of it. And they told us that he had an infection and it wasn't no big deal. Make a long story short, my dad was septic and he was dying. And they said, "Well, let's try dialysis and let's do this." And basically what they were doing is they were covering it up and using our dad as a dummy. And our dad died. He should have came home in 3 days. And here he is 7 days later. And God took him. And not only that, me and my sister didn't even have a chance to talk to him. I didn't question God. He's a sovereign God. He's been too good to me. I don't have time to question a God who gathered me from the pits of hell. We don't want to hear the word hell, but I was on my way to hell. Satan was my father. And God rescued me. I don't have time to ask Him why. All I want to do is say thank you, because you've been that good to me. He gathered me, and He gathered you. Your name is written in the Lamb's Book of Life. You ought to give Him a praise. Hallelujah. I want to close by reading this story in John 5. I have about another minute and I'm done. Amen. It says, after this, there was a feast of the Jews, and Jesus went up to Jerusalem. Now there in Jerusalem by the sheep gate, a pool which was called in the Hebrew Bethsaida, having 5 porches. In these lay a great multitude of sick people, blind, lame, paralyzed, waiting for the moving of the water. For an angel went down at a certain time into the pool to stir up the water. And whoever stepped in first, after the stirring of the water, was made well of whatever disease he had. Now a certain man was there who had an infirmity 38 years. I would think he's a candidate to feel like God has forgotten him. Wouldn't you agree? I mean, no matter what you've gone through, can you imagine now being lame, being sick for 38 years? When Jesus saw him lying there, he knew that he had already been in that condition a long time. Some of us, we've been in a situation for a long time, and you feel like God has forgotten you. He hasn't forgotten you. Jesus just came by. Maybe you ought to have a little talk with him. Hey. The sick man answered and said, "Sir, I have no man to put me in the pool when the water is stirred up. But while I am coming, another steps in before me." And Jesus said to him, "Rise up, take up your bed and walk." And immediately the man was made well, took up his bed, and he walked. There's a problem here now. First of all, if we are going to get to the place where we see God move, because I believe there's miracle working power tonight for God to say, "I have not forgotten you." Some of you right now are looking for a miracle. Hallelujah. God is now, there is miraculous power here tonight, and I'm not one of those people who will tell you I don't preach about miracles and different things, but God sent me to tell somebody, I'm getting ready to move the mountain out of your life. I'm getting ready to restore all that the cankerworm and the locusts have eaten. I'm getting ready to heal some wounds. I'm getting ready to bring some understanding. This man had a problem because he was looking at the wrong waters. Jesus Christ, when Jesus Christ came by, he represents the living waters. And some of us, we've been hanging around those who are hopeless. We've been acting like our God can't do wonders in our life. But I'm here to tell you right now, tonight, Jesus is coming by. And the waters are moving. And all you got to do is just allow him to touch you tonight, and things can be different. Amen. Amen. Give God a praise in the house. Hallelujah.